It's about love, not cash. Stealing money from the poor's a bit rash. Line your pockets, fill your tanks with your rockets. Look at it, we just can't stop it. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. Just don't be a cunt, mate. That's the only rule. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. All been going on way too long.
What I'm gonna do too, I'm not gonna do any more of those like little introductions like I film separately and stuff. It's just like too much time in editing. So I'm just gonna do like a quick intro, who you are, and then we can just start talking.
Hell yeah, dude. Don't ask me to introduce myself. I hate that shit.
I know, I hate it too. That's why I did those little separate intros, because it's so awkward just like introducing someone who you've already started talking to.
Yeah.
But it's just easier to just do it. So I'm just gonna. All right, you ready? Should we just talk?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So, welcome to another podcast. I'm speaking with John Tribe, who I've spoken to before. John is a veteran of the U.S. Army Rangers, I believe. Correct me on anything I get wrong here. Was in Iraq for a number of years. Came back, was diagnosed with a level of PTSD. That's why I ended up meeting John at an ayahuasca retreat. So if you want to hear about stories from the Iraq War and the time in Peru doing ayahuasca, you can listen to the first podcast we did. We talk all about that stuff, and there's some really awesome stories there. Definitely one of my favorite conversations I've had on this podcast, so check that one out. Today, though, I invited John to talk to me about guns, about gun control, his thoughts on it as a U.S. citizen. You know, lately, it comes up all the time, this gun control argument and stuff. Because of like these sort of mass shootings that happen, it just always gets political. People start talking about this stuff. And where I live too, on the west side of Canada, it's very like left-leaning. So a lot of people around me, they kind of treat the argument like it's so obvious. Like we need to they like to point fingers at the U.S. for sure. Like, oh, the U.S. just needs to like tighten up gun control and just get these automatic weapons out of the hands of these teenagers. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so easy to get guns and all this stuff. And so I hear this a lot, and I really wanted to have like an actual conversation about it. So mainly that's what we're going to be talking about. But I do think actually there's a lot of points when it comes to gun control that are like related to drug prohibition too, like the war on drugs. I think there's a lot of things that are related there, so we'll end up talking about that too, I think, and whatever the fuck else comes up. So yeah, John, thanks for joining me once again.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? Like, let's just try to be like start out a little bit general. Like, you were in the Army, you've been trained with weapons, you've been around guns a lot. What are your thoughts about someone, say, telling you personally, hey, we're going to take, we're going to take your semi-automatic weapons away or something like that. You're no longer allowed to have these. They're too dangerous. What do you say to someone who tries to tell you that?
I just tune them out, because it's like, it's just never going to work, right? Because they think about it from a strategic standpoint. It'd be impossible. It's like impossible to ban guns, or they would have already done it. Because the Democrats, if you look at it from the American political spectrum, the Democrats had the House, the Senate, the presidency, and they didn't even propose it. So it's like, it'd be impossible to do it. So it's like, if they come with real ideas that are smart, then that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But just like on a practical level, it just doesn't seem like how is it actually gonna happen? Like, you can't. At this point, there's so many guns out there. It just doesn't seem like something that's easily doable, right?
Right. Now, if they say, hey, I don't like guns, I want to ban the Second Amendment. Okay, that's at least you're being honest. That's what you should do, because the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution says this is how you do this. We've done it before, ban amendments. So just rescind the amendment, but they're not willing to do that.
Right.
They want to do it the dishonest way, which is it's just not going to work. But yeah, how are you going to get all the guns? Who's going to do it? It just, what are you going to do with them all? Like, think about just someone, think about if it was couches, right? Someone's going to come steal your couch that you paid money for.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars.
Are you going to get reimbursed? Like,
yeah, where are you going to put all these couches? Think about all the, so at the same time they're complaining about the environment, think of all that. What are you going to do with it all?
Right. Yeah, just the practical thing. Yeah. And people too, I think a lot of people are just uneducated about guns, and I have been too. I'm very much a novice when it comes to guns. So I just bought my first gun in 2017, and it was actually, I learned a lot in the experience of like taking the training to own it here in Canada and buying it and all this. But people, you hear about like automatic weapons, and that you know, an automatic weapon being you hold down the trigger and it just shoots. It just blah 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 blah. But if you get a semi-automatic weapon, which are super common even here in Canada, you can do so much damage. Like it's very similar. If you got like even me. So, okay, I'm just gonna use an example here.
Like,
So
all guns are semi-automatic, right? See, there's another point. As soon as somebody starts
like
talking,
a pistol,
it doesn't make sense. Like on gun parts, like when you hear a politician, you're like, you don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I hear that a lot. Now that I'm a little more educated, when I hear people say on sort of like the far left or the political spectrum talking about this, even I realize like, oh, these guys are kind of like exaggerating things or not really.
Yeah, like murderers. A murderer took a tool and he killed a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
So think about
ban the tool then.
Right. So you can't really make us, they're all semi-automatic, right? You can't own a fully automatic weapon, which practically speaking, anyone like on Rambo, which most of the world thinks we shoot like this, which is interesting when you talk to other armies, they actually think we do that from like, watching movies.
From the hip.
Yeah. But just from a practical standpoint, semi-automatic or fully automatic weapons are so inaccurate. You don't shoot them fully automatic in the weapon. In the army, you'll burn the barrel out and you're just going to miss. Like if you were standing from me to you, like 3 feet away, you're going to miss going brrr because it's going to go brrr.
Right. You don't actually, so you want to actually pick your shot a bit more and slow it down to be accurate.
And so you'll kill a lot more people if you're with a semi-automatic rifle. Looking down the sights, fully trained, going bop, bop, bop. You can kill just as many people, way more people than you go. Grrr. You know what I'm saying? That's why in like Chicago, they always miss. They always hit the civilians.
Right.
That's why they don't know what they're doing.
And I learned that like just for myself. So I bought a 22. It's like one of the least powerful guns you can get. Right, a little 22. I ended up buying a bolt action. But when I was buying it, it came down. I had two choices that I narrowed it down to. I was going to get a Ruger 1022 or whatever. And
1022, nice.
And that's
nice.
Those are semi-autos, right? They can. It's like a 10. 10. What do you call them?
10 mount little
magazine.
Clip,
yeah. So I could have 10 bullets and just go bap 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 bap, and I could fuck someone up with a 22, guaranteed. I mean, it's not that hard. But even I ended up getting the bolt action, a Savage. And it's a bolt, so I have to chamber the ammunition every time. But even that, you can do a lot of damage with 10 rounds there. You can do a lot, and I could buy just when I realized I could buy a semi-auto 22 as my first gun. I was like, well, damn, it doesn't. These gun control laws aren't going to do much. Even in Canada, we have pretty strict gun control laws, and I could just buy a 22 that's semi-auto right off the bat, like.
Bro, murder's against the law, and that doesn't stop anybody from murdering motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the thing.
We need to find out why. What kind of it? Look at this, like Ram Dass. He's like a spiritual guy. I don't know if you heard of him.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he tells people, he talks about parents don't raise kids; they're responsible for the environment in which these kids or flowers grow.
Sure,
so we need to look at. What
kind
of environment was this kid in where all of a sudden you want to murder people one
totally
day? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the problem. The problem isn't that he used a gun. What if he ran people? The problem is, and because guns are hard to get also. There's lots of gun control. So
I know
when they speak of more gun control, I'm open to hearing if it works.
Yeah.
And it's got to make sense.
Yeah.
But there's lots of inconsistencies that don't make sense. Like you can throw some at me, like the 21 law. Right, to be 21, because right now you got to be 21 to own a handgun, which makes sense because they're concealable. But then you got to be. They want to make it 21 to own a rifle because AR-15s are scary. But what if you're in the military? They can compel you to military service in the draft at 17, and 18, and you're gonna go. So if we're going to carve out exceptions for military personnel, if you serve, I'm okay with that. That's okay. That makes sense, right?
And you're going to get the proper training in the military too to use those things.
But training in the military sucks. So all my training has been outside the military.
Really?
Like the training compared to what I received in the military that
as
you
far
can
as
receive
guns,
as a civilian, is way better. Everything I learned about like killing people or shooting, like proper shooting safety, all that's from the civilian side. I didn't learn anything shooting in the
military.
You
got to be kidding.
No.
What do you mean?
I'm not kidding you. It's a joke. Like the standard is you have to go twice a year. That's once every 6 months to a range, and you have to shoot down at least 22 out of 40 green pop-up targets. That's the standard, right? That's what so shooting costs a lot of money, costs a lot of time. I had no idea about this before I joined the military. So you're not, military people are lucky if they touch their weapon twice a year. That's usually the standard. And I'm talking, if you're in infantry, I came from where my company was the main effort for Iraq for 07 to 09. And so we were touching our weapons 4 to 6 times a year. It's not what I thought. I thought we were going to shoot once a week.
What?
Right?
But that's when you're like, so you're talking about like you're already in the military for a while at that point. But what about if like you're an 18-year-old kid and you join the military, whatever, you join the army, go through boot camp, like there must be some kind of little training they do on rifles for a while. Like,
oh yeah, you get some training. Just the training in the civilian world is superior to what you would receive in the military.
That's funny.
But if they carve out an exception just on the fact that we can compel these people to service without, we can draft, and then they're going to hold these weapons and come back and not be able to buy one is ridiculous.
Yeah, that
doesn't make sense.
It is silly, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what you said before, I think is the absolute biggest thing to point out, and something for people to really think about and wrap their heads around, is that, like what you said about like murder, like making something illegal doesn't in itself stop people from doing that thing. And that's where I think you can compare it to like the drug laws and how like drugs have been illegal. Like a lot of these drugs have been illegal for like 50 years and people are doing them more than ever. They're all over the fucking place, right? So it's like this blanket thing of like, let's just make AR-15s illegal. It's not just the solution to the problem. It's not that simple. You don't just make something legal, then it goes away. And really a lot of the people who die from guns seems like it's related to drug gangs for one. It's a lot of like gangs who are selling and controlling the sale of illegal drugs. And then they're also shooting people with guns that they don't have legally either. Like they have handguns or whatever that they're not supposed to have with the current laws, and they're still out there shooting people. So just making things illegal isn't just this big answer that's going to fix things. Like you said, it's like looking at the environment. Like, why does someone decide they want to fuck up their community? Like when you talk about these mass shootings, generally these mass shootings, these people are going into their own communities. If they're not like traveling to some other school or something to shoot people, they're going to their own community and fucking all these people up. So the question is like, why do they have so much hate and resentment for their own community? And like, that's really the thing to look at, because you could kill someone in all sorts of ways with a vehicle or bombs or, you can't nerf the world. You can't ban everything. And even if you do, people can still figure it out. People can make their own weapons. If you really were going to ban everything.
Guns, those gangs would be using swords and shit. It'd be crazy.
Yeah,
because there'd be people without limbs and shit.
Well, yeah,
nuts.
They probably do that too. I've heard stories. Fucked up shit people are doing.
Yeah, it's good that a kid though in Florida, they didn't kill him, because now they changed the tactics. If you see from like Columbine, this is one reason I was never going to send my kid to school, because in Columbine, their tactic was from the police was to just set up a perimeter and contain them. So then the dude's just going to shoot more. Now they actually just get everybody out to save life.
Right.
And so, and if you see the dude, he's broken. I mean, there's no pretending. So now all these guys he's not going down like a hero, and he's broken person. Like he has no training on how to recover. So you're never going to see him in some interview talking about how awesome it is. You know what I'm saying? He's going to feel that for his whole life.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to ask you about I got into this argument with a friend of mine, gun control, and one of the most interesting arguments for people having guns, I think, that's in the sort of the American Constitution, is it's not just about, like, when you say you have a gun for self-defense or home defense, people generally picture like you protecting yourself from like some criminal breaking into your home, maybe trying to hurt your family, trying to steal your property, and you kind of think about home defense in that way. But one of the reasons people defend this law is to also protect yourself from like a corrupt government, like a government that's getting tyrannical, and that the citizens can take up arms to fight against that. And that's something that's a really interesting idea to me. And what my friend said, I brought that up in like just a little conversation I was having with a friend, and he said, "There's really in this era, there's no point in the civilians trying to take up arms because the government militaries are so powerful now that civilians, even if they grouped up together, wouldn't be able to put up a fight." And so I wanted to ask you that because you're someone who's been in the military, so you would know sort of the extent of the power the military has. And, would a civilian population be able to, if they were equipped with whatever semi-automatic rifles, say, could they put up a fight and could they put up a defense?
Oh yeah, bro. Like, well, let's put it in two categories, right? Let's assume that the U.S. military, as it is right now, just went 180 rogue, right?
Yeah.
And so the whole military is there, ready to go. Even though we know historically that's never happened. Like it just happened in Desert Storm. You had battalions of people surrender to helicopters, right? So they pretty much are ready to, hey, we're ready to fight with you guys, right? So, but oh hell yeah, I think like that's one of the problems with Iraq is we didn't have enough soldiers there. You need at least maybe, like, you want to go to battle with an army, the standard's 3-1, so 3 of your troops for every 1 of theirs. But to secure a population, it might be like 15. You need 15 to 1 to secure a population.
You're talking as the army, like 15 army people to 1.
So there's 300 million people in America, not even counting the terrain and like the rock, just ridiculous. There's 300 million people. So you would need whatever the hell that 15 times that is to secure that many people.
Now that might sound like counterintuitive to people, whereas you'd think trained soldiers in an army would actually, it would be like the other way. It would be like 1 trained soldier is enough to take out like 5 civilians or something. No! So why is it the other way?
Think about it from this way, right? It wouldn't be, all right, this was where you on one side, me on the other. I would be walking on the street and there'd be soldiers just standing in the street and we would shoot 3 of them and then I would go away forever. Right? And that's it. So think about, there's 1 million soldiers maybe. How many? So there's 300 million in the population. How many of those people, there's a percentage that just have to go kill 1 person. And that's it. And then you're going to have people like Tim Kennedy and
pure numbers.
The numbers are going to go way up because I'll just go till I'm dead. But yeah.
And I guess like that was probably in Iraq, like that was kind of why it was so difficult, right? Because it's like, I don't know if you call it like guerrilla warfare, but just like the civilian population being able to just sort of like come in and then peace out, and you don't know where they are, and you can kind of like if you're in your community, it's like you have the advantage, I guess. Like you're like the army's coming in this theoretical situation, the army has to go into cities and communities and take up and fight this fight, whereas the people are already, they can be in tall buildings, they can be there hunkered in, and like they have the advantage, I guess, in that sense, that they're on the defense or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. And you don't know who they are, but we know who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The army's dressed
up.
If
the population of Iraq was against us for real, they would have driven us to the sea. I felt that when I was there, because I realized, 1, we don't have enough bullets to shoot 30 million people who would charge us in human waves, which they've been known to do. And 2, I don't feel like shooting, nor did I really know anybody who felt like just shooting waves of human. All right, you called our bluff, we surrender. That's what I would do. I would run, but Jesus Christ, I did not want to be put in that situation.
Just like mowing down civilians.
But no, it'd be impossible. And just think about it from this way, though, for real, why we have guns is like, think about it. The president of the United States, President Obama, is conspired with Hillary Clinton to use the most sophisticated equipment that's supposed to be used for terrorists and other bullshit to use against Donald Trump. If we didn't have those guns, they don't even bother with the courtesy of spying on him. They just say, no, she's the president. Oh, by the way, what are you going to do about it? That's what happens. That's why we have guns, just so they know they have to kind of
They have to play by the rules like a little bit.
Yeah. Because on one hand, right, you got dudes like Joe Rogan saying, oh, slavery was only 150 years ago. That was just a blink in an eye. Well, guess what else was only a blink in an eye? And when Andrew Jackson saved America down in, what was it like? I can't remember, down in Louisiana. He took a little trip like in 1814. You know what I'm saying? That's barely 200 years ago. Countries are falling all over the world. Like in Africa, they're getting overturned all over the place. If you're in Africa, you're blessed if you have a gun.
Right. Yeah. And I think people kind of like, they just sort of forget, like we live in such a peaceful, like in general, peaceful society, whereas generally we don't have, it seems like a foreign concept that we'd have to take up arms to defend ourselves. Like it doesn't seem like something that's real to people. You know?
That'd be ridiculous. It'd be terrible. That's why you own guns. Then they just know, like, no one's ever going to invade us because it'd be impossible.
Right.
Just from a terrain, like from a military planning, it'd be impossible.
Yeah, definitely. If people,
like
if you know the civilian population has guns, like.
Think about it think in your neighborhood with all that snow, who the hell wants to go wrap up civilians? What's my motivation? I want to go freeze my ass off because I'm a murderer? No, this isn't like, this isn't back when we're bringing in people on boats who don't know shit. You know what I'm saying? We have the internet. When I was in Iraq, I was respectful. When people would say, we need to go check these houses, I'd be like, well, okay. I would knock on the door. We're coming in. Hey, we're going to look around because we have to type deal. How's it going? Everything's okay. Great. We're not throwing up. Like I had soldiers that wanted to do that, but we're like, no, this is their house. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Things have changed. No. So what about just going back to that question or the sort of point my friend had, like just in terms of like military equipment and like destructive power, like if it came down to it was on, like the fucking war was on, civil war. Like, does the military have such advanced military equipment that, like, say drones or something, could they, like, you're saying semi-automatic rifles, they can still put up a really good fight, even against the top obviously, if they just fucking drop nukes all over their own country, that's one thing, but you know, that's not necessarily what's going to happen.
What would be the point, right? So they can't scorch earth, but it would be tough, but you would adapt. And everything has a countermeasure because everything is run by and created by humans. So there's never going to be a robot or some AI that doesn't need maintenance and has batteries that last forever and shit.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
There's always like a weakness to these things too.
Yeah. So a bunch of the military, in reality, a bunch of the military would be like, what? So there'd be a big long pause where people are like, what is going on here, you know?
Yeah.
And then a bunch of them would be like, peace out, we're out of here. And then it's never going to happen like that. It's just, I used to hope for that shit. I was a collapsitarian. Think about it, though. You run the world. You spend 100 years running the world. Getting to this point, you're just going to collapse it and not take advantage of who's going to clean your pool. You want to go on trips. You know what I'm saying? The world's never going to collapse. It might collapse for you if you can't position yourself correctly.
Right. You don't see that coming at this point. Yeah. Not on that scale.
We were pretty much at the bottom in my opinion, with President Barack Obama. He was the bottom. Hillary Clinton would have been worse than hell, which I don't know what that is. So it's like now we're going to rebound back up. It's hilarious that it's Donald Trump. It's like my 12-year-old's writing the universe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know. That's a point. Well, to people, I don't know.
You don't have to agree with it, right? Because you don't have to agree with it. But if on the same hand, the smartest dudes in the world, like Ram Dass, are saying it's all perfect, we just can't see it, well, then that's our problem. It's hilarious. Because in reality, when you think about it, a president of the United States conspired to. We all know America spies on everybody. Nobody does anything. You know what I'm saying?
You kind of assume
Nobody does anything.
Yeah.
Nobody does shit. It's just like WikiLeaks comes out and says, look at all this. Nobody does anything. It's just like the world's getting better just because it's getting better for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, there's still like tons
like
of corruption at the top and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like with this Florida and the gun control, right? We just have to accept the fact that whatever percent of the population is crazy, right? Let's say it's 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's pretty low, but let's say 10. So in America, when there was 200 million people, well, that's 20. What is that? 20 million people?
Yeah.
That's okay. Maybe that's manageable. Well, now there's almost 400 million. So the same percentage applies. So there's 40 million crazy people. We just have to accept there's a lot of crazy people. Some are going to fall through the cracks, which is what this Parkland dude. Like you can see where all the gun control is. It just failed.
Yeah.
Because it's run by humans. He fell through the cracks. So we don't need more gun control. We need to tighten up the cracks.
Yeah.
And one of those things, you gotta just accept the fact, hey, we live in a crazy ass world where there's lots of crazy people.
Yeah. I mean,
gear up.
Yeah, part of it is just like we're not going to be able to stop every crazy person. Like we just can't. Like you can't assume that's a realistic goal. Like people are smart. They figure out ways around shit. And so we can put up lots of barriers and walls and things and try to do as many background checks, but someone might not have any criminal background at all and decide to do something really fucked up, you know? Like you just can't put enough things in place to stop everything from happening. We live in a pretty chaotic world, and people, I think one of the biggest things we can do is just help sort of even out the economic side of things, like help people not be in fucked up situations where they're like desperate. Help our communities get to a level of like not like just working together more, where people feel like they're a part of the community. I mean, that's something I feel like we're missing these days, and that creates isolation in people, which fosters like just the darkness, just fosters the darkness coming up in people. And there's
hell yeah, bro. Think if you were a kid today, I'm freaking out because my kid's 8. He used to get a break from bullying. There's no break from bullying. I mean, you gotta worry about Facebook. Plus, I'm not even giving my kid a phone until he's like 17, or I'm just not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, what's that gonna do? Maybe I'll have to change my mind. Who knows? It's crazy, man.
Yeah, well, for sure. The shit that people have to deal with these days, it's a lot. It's just a lot. And as a young person, it would be a lot too. I can just imagine. I feel lucky that I as a teenager, I was right before phones and shit started, like the smartphones came out. Like that was like, I didn't have to deal with that. And God, that would have been a lot of pressure and bullshit when you're like, everyone has video and pictures of everyone floating around all the time and shit. Like, yeah, you can get depressed quick, I think. But
my kid's kind of insulated though. I do a good job. I've so far, because I judge it by what he wants to be, right? So my wife on our cabinet, she measures him every year and then asks him what he wants to be. And then we just did it. And he wants to be a Zupa's worker, which is like a fast food chain place near my house. Right? Okay. So some of his friends want to be engineer. I'm like, engineer? Do you know what kind of bullshit an engineer has to put up with all day? You know what I'm saying? You're not just building these great buildings all day. You got to do a bunch of bullshit you don't know about. Well, my kid knows all about Zupas, so that's where he wants to work.
Sweet.
That's how I've gauged it, whether we're doing a good job.
That's
hilarious,
funny.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's the simple things. If you're not paying attention to them all the time, that's why I don't sell holsters anymore, because I wanted to be there every step of the way, because I don't know when he needs me. So I just have to be there all the time just in case.
Yeah. I was just listening to someone talk about like raising children, and that one of the best things you can do is because you don't know when they're going to need you, like you said, but you might not be able to be there all the time either, but you can help teach your kid how to reach out to you when they do need you. And he was talking about teaching children to come to you when they feel like they need a hug, like teaching, like playing a little game and just being like, okay, so let's pretend you're really sad right now. Like pretend you're upset, and then you're going to come to me and look at me and say, I need a hug. And then I'm going to give you a hug. And then you like practice that. And then as the kid grows up, they just like learn they can come to someone and just say like, I need a hug, you know. That could prevent mass shootings right there, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I use a love meter. I call it my kid's love meter. I'm like, he comes and tells me he needs his love meter filled up. I'm like, you love meter filled up? He's like, yeah.
That's awesome.
When he's freaking going crazy.
You're right. Yeah. So one thing, so you kind of feel like the government being so corrupt that they come after the people isn't something that can happen at this point. But I don't know, man. I feel like things can change so quick. You never really know, man.
It won't, because we have so many guns, right? It may, like, here's the worst case Alex Jones scenario, right? You think of New York City. They could easily clamp down New York City. They could clamp down LA.
Because they don't have many guns.
Zones, but they can't. But the whole country, and then once you clamp it down, then everyone in the internet and a cell phone's gonna be like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" They're like, "We're here to take over. We run the world." You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense tactically, because if you run the world, you want everything to go as smoothly as possible and never change. And that's where you see the friction from Donald Trump. Whether you like him or not, he causes friction in the system. And so you and then expose them, but it didn't expose who's paying all the money. Because when you think about, like, Hillary Clinton, it cost her, they spent $1 billion that we know on her election, right? Think about how much money that is. $1 billion.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy, right? So it's like,
what's funny to me is like people, I'm thinking about people on, like, the far left of the political spectrum, like people I know who, like, in my area, I would say it's because I'm up near Alaska, there's definitely a big conservative sort of population as well, but there's definitely on the west of Canada, like in BC and around Vancouver and stuff, there's definitely a lot of, like, liberal kind of mindset people, and a lot of people I know, a lot of my family, and to them, like, Trump is like, they can't fucking believe this guy's the president, right? It's like, it's just so against their paradigm of what the world is and, like, what people want and stuff, that they, like, can't even imagine that that's real. And what's funny to me is, like, this argument that governments, someone could get into power who is corrupt. Trump, to these people, almost represents that. Like, to them, it's like almost like, damn, well, if Trump can get in, who fucking Hitler could get in? Like, it's kind of like that. They put them on that same level of, like, ridiculousness, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So to them, that's like an argument that shit could happen. To me, like, Trump's like maybe like a corrupt businessman, if anything. Like, maybe he's trying to, like, make certain policies and laws to, like, benefit himself and people, maybe
for sure,
his peers, to make more money, right? But he's not necessarily, like, the most sinister motherfucker out there. But but maybe someone else could come in who is that.
Yeah, think about it. He's avoided war. That's what's been crazy, is all these people that are pounding on the Russia thing. Well, let's say it is true. Like, they influenced our election. It didn't really have much effect. So what's the point? What's the point of, are we going to go to war over this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what they keep, like, what do you want?
Yeah, like be careful.
Because if he puts sanctions, well, they're going to have to react.
Yeah.
So how about we just admit, okay, all our governments should stop doing that shit. I want total transparency. That's what I like with Trump is, he's opening up these meetings and you're seeing people put on the spot. Have you watched those things on YouTube?
I haven't.
Go to the gun one, because he's smart, because he knows he's going to have to give up some. That's what I like about Trump. When we go into negotiations, there's two types of people. One that realize, well, let's do something that's good for you and good for me, and good for you. And then there's the people that I want it all.
Yeah.
And so the 21-year-old, with all these, like, psychiatric meds, that makes total sense to me. Let's make it. I mean, I don't really agree with it. It just makes sense if the population was like, hey, we want 21-year-olds to hold. Well, that makes sense. It makes sense. Right? Banning rifles doesn't make sense, but 21-year-olds makes sense. That makes sense. Whatever.
Right. Something has to make sense. Yeah. And as far as that goes too, like, to me, what makes sense to me is, like, have proper training. Like, you don't just get a gun. And I think a lot of people who are anti-gun and are trying to push this stuff, they make it sound like anyone can just go into a 7-Eleven or something and, like, buy a fucking automatic weapon. Like, they make it sound like there's no gun regulation in the States already, but there is. Like, you can't just go buy a gun with like a driver's license. Like, you need a few things too, right?
No. That we should. Here's the ideal situation, right? The problem isn't the ideal situation, right? The ideal situation is you go in before you buy a gun, you get like a 7-day course.
Yeah, totally.
where they let you shoot a bunch of them. You get a feel for them. You practice drawn out of concealment. They get you a safe. Right. That's everybody would agree on that.
Okay,
the problem is who's going to implement that? Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama,
right.
the NSA, the FISA courts. Who the fuck's going to do that?
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Eventually that's going to be used to corrupt it because we know anybody who's going to be president, Trump's 100%. He's not perfect. Nobody is. I'm not going to run for president, but at least you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so who's going to implement that program?
I thought that as well. I thought about that idea that like so it's like a good idea that like everyone should be trained properly and sufficiently on these weapons before they just get them. Like, you get a driver's license. You have to learn how to drive a car before you get a driver's license. And this is a side note too. I believe it's the same. That's my thought with drugs, with a lot of these illegal drugs, but especially like the psychedelics that I think can help people. I think it should be like a training course you sort of go through. You learn how to use the stuff before you get to buy it. And I think that would be fine, like some kind of regulation like that. But I was thinking about that with guns, and that like people always bash the pro-gun people for like not giving an inch. And it's because like they don't, for one, it's like this trickle down thing. They think if they give up one thing, then it's going to lead to like what you said earlier, that they just want to ban all guns, but that they're just kind of chipping away at it, like one thing at a time. But what I was going to say was, if you have training set up, like that's a way to control it too, is then all of a sudden who's doing the training and who gets to decide who is eligible for the training, who decides who's had enough training and stuff. So that's a problem.
Well, then it goes even worse than that, because it'll divulge into, well, this person gets the contract for training, and now I'm getting into, I want to be the person in charge of who deals out the contracted training because I want that power. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't legislate responsibility. That's the problem people have. You can't legislate responsibility. Look at McDonald's and people taking their kids to McDonald's. You fucking kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
My little cousin, bro, just got a defibrillator in his shoulder. And I was like, what? So are we changing? I'm like, oh my God, you're going to need me and my wife to come teach you how to cook and shit. No, nothing changed.
What?
Nothing changed.
What do you mean? What do you mean he got a defibrillator?
Because he's so fat. They're so worried his heart's going to fail on him. He's a 12-year-old kid.
Oh,
he has a defibrillator.
Damn.
Because none of his family wants to do the right thing and make him exercise, because then they would have to exercise.
Right.
See, that's what it is with my kid, right? Every summer or every winter, we just have sled hills right now. But my 8-year-old can't build a sled hill. I have to go do it and show him how to do it. And that's what we're here to do. So that's the hard part. Is like when you buy your gun, bro, were you ready to go murder everybody?
No, man. I was like,
you probably realize, holy shit, this is crazy.
I gotta be careful with this fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you respect it, and then you as a responsible person went out and got the training you wanted. I wish everybody was like that, but then how are you going to make them do that? And then you get into what Ram Dass talks about. Now we're forcing people, and there's only one way. Once you go down the force, now you're an ends justify the means, and you're basically the fucking devil, right? The ends justify the means people are like, well, Hillary's on the blue team. Trump's so bad. Forget about the fact that WikiLeaks just released all their emails. Forget about
just
that.
the lesser
Forget
evil
about
thing.
that.
Lesser of two evils.
Yeah, you just have to wait them out. I used to be one of those dudes, bro. Make people do the right thing because I know. I don't know. Then I did ayahuasca. And I'm like, I don't know shit. I just sit back. I just sit back. Like Ram Dass says, work on myself.
Yeah.
And I apply that to like the country. America needs to work on itself and then export our good ideas to the world, not try to take advantage of the world.
Yeah, I do think that's the thing.
Long ways from that, bro.
Just promoting like individual responsibility seems like the way to go. Just like, and by being an example and just taking care of your own shit. It's like that guy I've been listening to a lot, Jordan Peterson. Have you been listening to any of his stuff?
Yeah, you turned me on to him.
Yeah?
Yeah,
he's a smart dude, and that's his thing. That his thing is just like, well, the meme people say about him is just clean up your room. That's something he preaches. Clean up your room first, then move on. Like, don't talk about the fucking economy if your room's a mess. Like, you can't even take care of that. Who are you to say, what other people should be doing? Like, and that's really it. You take care of yourself first, make sure your shit's in order, and take responsibility for like, first you, and then maybe your girlfriend, and then maybe your family, and then you start looking at your community and how you can help your community, and that's kind of the way to go. And you can't. It's hard to just mandate responsibility on people, like to
Yeah,
just force
bro.
people to do that. Like if they're forced, they're not gonna take it the same way. They're not gonna go about it the same way.
No, like my kid, like my zinger on Facebook when I find liberals, I like to zing them. Right? Is I like because me and my kids, every time the snow melts and like in the summertime, part of their like responsibility to our team is we go on family walks in the morning and we pick up litter. And since he's seen me do it, he really can't like he complained in the beginning, but since he sees me and my wife do it, we just ignore him and keep doing it. Now he does it. And so I like to tout the number of hours we have while they're just complaining about Trump. It's like, come on. The world is not going to end. Trump's going to be in or out in 4 years or 8 years. You know what I'm saying? The world's going to go on. And we're just cleaning up litter still, and you're just bitching about how the world's shitty.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's something I was talking about, like to the people around me. Man, it was so funny when it became obvious that Trump was going to be elected, and then when he was, like just the days after he was, like people were like, the sky is falling, man. Like the fucking world's going to end. It's the apocalypse. This is the beginning of the end. And what I would say is, you know, I'm fairly sorry because we live in Canada too. Like we're not even in the same country, but obviously we're pretty connected to the States. But I was just telling people, like, I'm pretty certain a year from now, if you look at your life, like just your actual life, like what you do day to day, who you're interacting with, I'm pretty sure nothing's going to change. Like Trump is going to affect some things like in the bigger, like, you know, the world at large, but probably you're going to be working at the same job, complaining about the same shit, watching the same shows on Netflix, eating the same food, like doing the same shit, and probably not a lot's going to change, but you can get lost in the bigger picture and just like fucking lost in your head and imagining all this stuff that's going on, when really just take it day by day, work on your own shit first. And it's a lot less stressful that way.
Hell yeah, bro. I'm trying to get my wife in a bikini. You know, that was her goal. She's had it for 4 years, right? But she's just like me. So I'm just like, that's it. Because I have so much knowledge of how to get in shape. You know what I'm saying? And so then I'm like, so now it's loading up because I wanted to do a blog. And we're going to go on 3 Disney cruises in a row because I get a military discount, right? So it's way cheaper.
What do you mean? You get a military discount on Disney cruises?
Yeah.
What?
They're awesome.
Sweet.
Wait, say that again?
Like on Disney cruises specifically, they give you a military discount?
Yeah. For bets.
Nice.
You save like 40% something. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to afford to go on those things, right? They're too expensive.
That's hilarious.
So now she has a date. So now that's stressful enough. Trying to get her to do the right thing, which she sees me do for the last 10 years, is almost impossible.
Right. You know, I've dealt with the same, like I've been in a relationship too for a long time, and my girlfriend has similar goals, but I've learned, like, if she's going to do anything, she has to want to do it. There's just no other way around it. Even with someone like that who I'm around all the fucking time, like day after day, we're together, and I'm like, just like you, that's kind of something I'm just like good at, and I've always done, is like keep myself in shape and fucking do stuff like that. I'm just into it and I want to do it, but to try to like get someone else to do anything, it's really like, it's just not, if they are doing stuff because they feel like someone else wants them to do it, they're not going to do it. They're not really going to, they're going to either half-ass it, or they're going to quit as soon as it's reasonable for them to do so, or whatever. It's really about changing people's motivations, or like, it's really difficult.
I had to wait for her to do it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we've had that fun for 4 years, right? I don't force her to do it. She's the one that came up with this herself, right? And I'm like, well, if you want to get a bikini, we might as well go on some Disney cruises. Here's the money and a fun. But she wasn't ready, so I've just been waiting, right? I've just been waiting. And so now finally she's like, okay, I'm ready. And so now we're going to hit it.
Sweet.
Right? But if I tried early on, like in our marriage, to train her, like, but she would come to the gym and think it was our time. I'm like, no, this is workout time. And I was like, this isn't going to work. Bye-bye. You know?
That's
funny. Just let her do her thing.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, getting into that conversation in general, like just like the idea of controlling people, controlling other people, it's a weird thing. And sometimes, I mean, kids are a good example of it, because kids, you have to control them to an extent, right? When you have children, it's like, if you're going to cross the street, you're holding my fucking hand when you do it, because like you're 4 years old and you're going to get run over. You're an idiot. You're impulsive. You see a squirrel, you go chase it. Like, you know, so you got to control people to an extent, right?
No, bro. No. It's like this, right? This is what I do for my kids. Imagine boundaries on left. Imagine like a circular boundary, right? Like how the flat earthers love Earth. Right? So imagine there's boundaries there. That's the death zone. Me as an adult, experienced human, I realize that's the death zone. He has no idea the death zone is like 1,000,000 miles away. I'm going to bring in barriers and I'm going to slowly expand them to the point where to give him enough room to be him, where he thinks when he goes into the upstairs room, he's running away, right? He does the equivalent of running away. I give him his space.
Yeah.
Then he comes back, but he doesn't know that there's boundaries out there. But when he gets close to one, like if he's going to whack my wife, then I grab him. I'm like, bro, come on. And then I move him. Right. So that's my job. So to be there. And so then he becomes himself. And then once he's trained the basics of being a human, then I remove the pretend boundaries, which is me. And I'm like, bro, you get to set your own boundaries. Oh, by the way, the death zone's right over there. You know what I'm saying? That's and go. What do you want to do now? Go be you. That's how I'm trained.
So you still have to set those limitations, like those arbitrary, like those sort of imagined limitations, just to sort of keep them within a certain box.
Hit him. Yeah, but he gets to hit him and nothing happens to him. I just make sure he doesn't do something catastrophic.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm training him. Because if you wait till my theory is, if I waited till he's 16, well, now instead of going up to his room to pout and throw his fit, he's gonna get in a fucking car, and I'm responsible for that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I work hard for my money.
Yeah, it's such a tricky balance with kids, and I'm not even a parent, so I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just talking on my ass because I don't really know. But it seems like, but I do work with youth though. I work with young people. At one of my jobs right now. So I do have some experience working with young people, and it's in that same vein. It's like, you can't really control people. You just can't. It's not the way to go. It's not going to work out well. You have to give people individual freedom. It's really like just trying to fucking help them make good choices, right? That's really what it's about. Like, help them decide for themselves to make good choices. And to do that, you have to give them enough freedom to make mistakes too. And what I think is for me, if I am ever like a parent, that's probably going to be the hardest thing for me to do, is let, say, my kid just fuck up. I'm going to be like, no, don't do it that way. You want to do it this way. You know, and I feel like that's going to be a hard thing, to just let them fucking screw up.
That's good that you recognize it now, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
See, that's like the gun owners, right? Think about this. I'll tell you from a gun owner, if my kid was over at your house and you're a gun owner, and you just leave your guns out and you're irresponsible as fuck. My kid's not coming over to your house. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, right.
So I feel that, like, if you so it's like there's always going to be those dudes that no matter nothing you can say to them they would listen to you, and they're going to be the ones that shoot themselves in the foot.
Right.
And you just gotta live with that. That's just how it is. But
and that's on them.
I don't even know what I was saying.
Well, yeah, I do think like that is a thing. That's actually a good point. When it comes to, because I don't know what are the rules in the States as far as like locking your gun up. Do you have to have either your gun in a safe or like a trigger lock at all times, or no? You don't.
No, like, I believe there should be no laws about guns, and if you want to own a nuclear weapon, well, feel free, but now you're responsible for fucking up the environment and the world, so that's on your conscience. You know what I'm saying? That's what I believe. You want to own a tank? Own a tank. I don't give a fuck.
But, yeah, I was gonna ask you about that actually.
Yeah. I think you should be able to own whatever you want. I want a machine gun right now with the suppressor. Of course I want all that shit because it's cool, just like a Ferrari. That's why I want it.
You actually want that, though?
Rambo shoots one.
I don't think I'd even want... Fuck, that's a lot of power. If I'm thinking about like owning like a nuclear weapon, that's what I'm thinking about right now. Fuck.
Yeah, I wouldn't want a nuke. Would you want a nuke and the responsibility that goes with it?
That is a lot of responsibility. No. You don't just own a nuke. You got to take care of that thing.
Exactly. Why would you want a nuke anyways?
Damn.
But that's what I believe the Second Amendment.
The power, though. The power.
That's what I believe the Second Amendment says. Is you can write to, and the arms, they specifically put arms and not muskets.
Yeah.
Because they were forward thinking.
I thought about that. I was going to ask you about that because, like, at the time, right? Like, people argue this on the other side because they're like, when they made those, they didn't have fucking automatic weapons and whatever else. But I feel like the philosophy behind it, or the the greater meaning is like the citizens have the right to arm themselves to match whatever's out there. And that's how people take that. So I was going to ask you, like, do you think people should just have the right then to own tanks and own whatever is available?
Think about this, bro. This is the problem with the people who are yelling about gun control. On one side, one day they're yelling, the police are tracking down minorities and they're killing. So you want them to have the only people to have guns?
Yeah,
Think
right.
about when cops have zero. Because right now, when every police officer that interacts with somebody, 99.99999% are like us. We have no harm for them. Think about when that becomes 100% because they know there's no guns anywhere. They're going to round us up.
Yeah, that's the thing is you got to be careful who you give that power to. I think people on the left seem just way more willing to give the government and say the police force or whatever a lot more the power. And they're just like, oh yeah, we can trust them. Like, yeah, they're elected. And, they're there to serve us. But that's not how it always goes, though. You gotta be careful. And actually, when I was researching sort of this topic last couple of days, because I knew we were going to be talking about it, one of the things I learned is like most of the shootings that happen, say in the States, it seems like most of them happen in gun-free zones, right? There's like the shooters go to these gun-free zones knowing no one has any guns, and then they just shoot everybody. It's like it doesn't work.
It did stop them, right? The gun-free. They got to do that too. That makes no sense. A gun-free zone. That's not gonna I don't know if they think that's actually a deterrent. Like it is for me, like because I don't want to go to jail. I'm not a crazy person, so I avoid all those places like the plague if I have to go. I'm not taking my gun because I would be paranoid because I don't want to go to jail, right? But that's the stupidest thing ever.
But one of the things. So after talking about all this stuff and all these things, because to anyone listening, it definitely sounds, I think after doing more research and learning about guns, I have become more, what's the word? Like, I don't want to say pro-gun, but just like pro people's right to own guns and stuff. I'm definitely on that side. So maybe, but
you got to have security.
One thing I'll say though,
giving up liberty for security, that's a problem in America. And you're seeing the consequences. Because you can't, there's no security. So now if you have to arm all the schools now, like, cause we've given up our liberty, which is you're free to die and live at any moment. Hopefully the person you're looking next to you isn't a murderer. You know what I'm saying? Well, let's make sure we don't have murderers, but that's what freedom is. But people don't like that. They want to feel secure. They want security. Now this is what you're getting because in Beverly Hills, there's no fucking school shootings. You know what I'm saying? There's armed motherfuckers there, probably SWAT teams and shit. So they have security. You're seeing in the poor parts where there's no money, there's no security. Now, it's not because security isn't equal. That's what I'm teaching my kid too, is because one of my kids is special needs, which is phenomenal teacher. So he's learning at age 7. Life isn't fair. Because the one kid plays iPad all day long, and that's just how it is. And this other kid has responsibilities to do first, and he doesn't like that. But he's learning at 7. Life's not fair. Deal with it.
Right. Yeah. You can't just like nerf the world to the lowest common denominator. Like people are gonna have different levels of responsibility and what they got to do. Just how it is. One thing I was gonna say though, too. as a point for like maybe having gun control is I personally, as a Canadian, I feel nervous to go to the States, and that's real. I'm like if I have to make the decision to I'll go to like Alaska because Alaska's like next door and it's like whatever. But to like just travel to like big cities in the States, like I don't want to go to Chicago. Like,
oh hell no, bro!
But like not just Chicago, but like just go through like LA and like go through because we were thinking a while ago, it would be fun to plan like a little road trip, like get a camper trailer or an RV or something and like drive from way up, up here in the Yukon, go down through Vancouver and then down through Washington and California and like go do this big road trip. But now after like just all the shootings and things, man, I get freaked out. Like we were planning on like going to Vegas and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I just get nervous. So that's like,
think about this, right?
Yeah.
There's probably 700 million guns in America. And all the school shootings. Think how rarely they occur.
I know.
All
rationally, it's pretty fucking rare that this stuff happens.
But I won't go to Chicago. Are you fucking crazy? I'm not going to Chicago. I'm not going to New York. I had an anxiety attack for 10 days in New Jersey because that's the state with the least liberty in America ever. And when I was staying with my aunt, with my sister-in-law, and I didn't even go to New York because
What do you mean? What do you mean least liberty?
Like it's the most restrictive state. Like my RV had 101 holsters on the side of it. I was so paranoid somebody was going to call the SWAT team on me. Right? I didn't have my guns, right? But I was paranoid that they were going to call the SWAT team just for holsters. Because I was listening to the news and the craziness, dude. It didn't happen, but no, I won't go to Chicago. Are you crazy? There's places I avoid.
Yeah, but
I'll go to Disneyland.
So I mean, that's I don't know. But on the other hand, I mean, maybe if you have a country, maybe you want people. Maybe you don't want people to just be like, so like, oh yeah, I'll just go to the States. It's super safe. Nothing will happen to me. They're just all a bunch of naive, fucking friendly motherfuckers there. Like maybe you want your place, maybe you want people to sort of have a level of fear, not like fear, but like, God, I don't know, caution when entering into your country, right? Maybe it's a good thing.
No, you don't want that. You want to be open and loving.
To an extent, but not to everybody, not to terrorists, right?
Yeah, but come to America, get in an RV because RVing is awesome. You're gonna love it.
We're thinking about getting
down Highway 101, coast Highway 1. It goes from Seattle, probably up Vancouver, all the way down to San Diego.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. It'll be great. You're not going to see any guns. I guarantee you will not see any AR-15s. You're going to love it. They sell avocados 10 for $1, bro. You can pick your own blueberries. It's going to be awesome. Camp right on the beach.
Yeah, originally what we thought we would do, because like up here where we live, there's not like vehicles and stuff up here, like sell for way more. Because there's just not a lot up here. It's so far north. So what we were thinking originally is we'd fly to Vegas, buy like a camper van or something there, and then just drive it all the way up and sell it when we got up here. That was we could probably get more money for it here then. So we'd make our money back. But I think now, at least this year, we might buy like a little camper trailer to tow behind my truck. And I think we're going to like go to Anchorage, Alaska, then just kind of travel up around Alaska and the Yukon in the summer. I think that'll be pretty sweet. It's like a nice little...
get a trailer. Unless you have kids. I have kids, so I have a motorhome.
Yeah.
That bathroom's worth $1 billion. But your wife's trained. She can hold it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She can sleep in the car. Yeah, get a trailer. It'll be way better. But hell yeah, come to America. Dude, that'll be a gangster story. Do podcasts all along the way.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah. I mean, I'm not like against it, but I'm just, like it's crossed my mind, like, it's kind of scary, like knowing people are, and it's hard to know. I don't really know. I didn't really look in. It's hard to know stats too. Like I looked up stats a little bit and heard people talk about stats, like as far as like if school shootings are happening more frequently, if more people are getting murdered with guns, say, and things. It's hard to know. It's easy in a way to like skew stats depending on like what group and things you're looking at and how you define certain terms, right? And things like that.
Oh, dude, the blue team took a whooping like you've never seen by Trump. That's an embarrassment to like you've never seen. Now they're all about to go to jail. They need to drum up a bunch of money to try to win. Because if they get stomped, I don't know what's going to happen, right? I don't pay attention. But I know this. After a presidential election in America, the winning team of the presidential election always loses 2 years later in the midterms. So if the Democrats, the blue team, get walloped like I think they're going to, because you can't believe any of the polls, and Trump's a gangster, right? As a billionaire, everybody wants your shit. Nobody wants your house, bro. Nobody wants my house.
No.
That building with Trump on it, think how many people want that shit right now. You have to defend against that 24/7. But anyways, I can't remember what I was talking about. But oh yeah, so if they get walloped in come this November, that's going to be so embarrassing. It may dissolve their whole team, and you may see another one rise to the top. Or the people who own the Democratic Party right now are going to lose power to the young people.
Yeah, that might happen. That might happen. They need a shakeup, though. They definitely need a shakeup for sure. That seems
Yeah,
obvious.
go on vacation, bro. Take your lady. Go to the beach. It's gonna be super romantic. It'll be gangster.
The beach in Alaska. I don't know if that's quite as
No,
romantic.
come down to California. Weed's legal, bro. Weed is legal. Cannabis. You can use it. You gotta be 21. That's it.
Oh, dude, did you know that that's happening up here in Canada? That weed is going to be legal recreationally
Nice.
in all of Canada. Like they're doing it federally. It's actually going to happen.
Oh, really?
It's going to happen this
Nice.
summer. I mean, that was the plan. They basically announced it like a year ago, and we're like, next July 1st is Canada Day, pretty sure. And that's when.
Think about that. Think if you're in America, right? You're on the blue team. You're pissed about Trump all day. The same time you're going around pissed about Trump all day, states are legalizing weed left and right. You can just smoke weed. No one cares anymore. It's great.
But Trump has that dude, right? Jeff Sessions. You know that
dude's
dude?
not going to do anything.
Dude, that dude's
Trump's
crazy.
smart, right? He knows that's his ace in the hole. I believe is to legalize cannabis. If it got really bad for him with nonsense,
well, that's
real
what
or
you'd
fake,
hope,
whatever.
right? But
legalize it. That would keep everybody off his back for months.
it would. That's for sure. I mean, I'll say this, like I've always identified, I've never really been into politics. I try to stay out of politics, stay off of a team. It's never been my thing. I never have liked it. But I would say I've always kind of identified as like more left leaning simply because those were the people talking about legalizing drugs. And that's something I'm super passionate about. I think that's like, it's just such a blatantly hypocritical thing in our culture that I've always just hated it. It's like the stupid elephant in the room where everyone around me is doing drugs, but no one's talking about it. And everyone's like, yeah, drugs are bad, but yet everyone's fucking doing them. Like, I've just hated it. So anyway, the left people were like the ones talking about legalizing that stuff, or at least changing the laws. And so I've always been like, okay, I guess I'm like on the left then, because I believe in that. But what I've realized like lately is, well, one thing is like on the left, generally they want like bigger governments, and the right, like conservatives are generally in favor of smaller governments. And when I always thought about changing drug laws, that was like going smaller government wise, like having less rules and things. So I've learned I'm not exactly on the left. I want less fucking restrictions on people. And that kind of goes in the gun laws or this idea of regulating guns more is in that same vein too. Like I feel like in general, people should have more personal freedom. And as long as you're not hurting anybody, the government shouldn't be coming after you, telling you what to do, what to put in your body, that type of stuff. And so I've realized just in recent years that I'm not exactly on the left. I always kind of figured I must be, but I'm not really. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that
Dude,
they're
you're
saying.
right where you need to be. You are, but you aren't. That's why Jeff Sessions isn't going to legalize or make it. He's not going to come into the States. He can't because he's on the red team, and the red team's all about states' rights. But they'll drum up nonsense to earn money just like the blue team. You know what I'm saying? So there's always a catch. I'm sure he would like to come in and do that nonsense, but the states are voting, so he's on the red team. He has to use it. Like part of American history, you take Andrew Jackson, huge slave owner, right? He's the creator of the Democratic Party. He's also, his process, how he created the Democratic Party is ultimately how the slaves, they like walk the same path he used to get civil rights in America. If that makes sense.
Sort of. What do you mean walk the same path?
So he saved, like, because there's always a catch when we're here. Ram Dass calls this place hell, but so Andrew Jackson, just take this one guy. He's an American president. I think he was the 20th.
Okay.
In 1814, he saved America. Without him, we lose the whatever war was down in 1814.
Okay.
There's a song about it. You have to learn about it.
Okay.
Right. And so then he's a big slave owner, kills all these Indians, his terrible human rights record. Right. But he also killed the banks and made free banking in America. So that was good. But then he created all these policies. And the way he did it to like keep people down, but it just reversed because then later on, a new group of people use those same policies to become free. If that makes sense.
I see. Yeah, I see. Like laid the foundation that,
Yeah. So as long as you're like, because I'm like you, bro. I look at these yogis like we're on the same team, except I shower, I pay taxes because I like regulation. You know what I'm saying? I like the fact that schools are a good idea, but I'm not sending my kid to a kill zone. And there's crazy people all over the place. You know, so it doesn't matter. So and I don't like chemicals in my food. And I don't like chemicals in my water.
Yeah. There needs to be regulation. Like, there's definitely, you need some regulation. You can't have no government. Like, you need people to say, like, hey, don't dump toxic waste in the fucking rivers, or,
exactly,
or
right?
you're paying
That's
a
what
huge.
I hate about the anti-gun side. So they're automatically anti-gun, and so they think I'm the devil. It's like you don't agree with us, you're the devil. It's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
These rules say you can say whatever you want. The same rules that keep me from killing you, which I'm perfectly capable of, right?
Yeah.
Are these rules that say I get to own a handgun. So if you don't want me to own a handgun, that's okay. Follow the rules, repeal the Second Amendment. Just do that. And then I would gladly give up my handgun because the rules say I have to.
Yeah.
Right now they say I don't.
Yeah. That's one of the things that's I would say, like, distanced me more and more from the left politically, is like how they just want to label everyone who disagrees, and they don't want to have the conversation. And I'm someone, I really like open ideas. I like to just talk about shit. Like, right? Like, I started this podcast to talk about illegal drugs. I'm just like, listen, I'm just talking here. Like, I'm just going to talk about it. And if you don't like it, it doesn't matter. Like, go fuck yourself. I'm going to talk about it. But a lot of these issues that the people on the left are so passionate about, gun control being one of them. And I know this because a lot of people around me are like this. Like, a lot of my Facebook feed is like sort of people patting themselves on the back because they're like, yeah, fuck guns. They need more gun control in America and all this stuff. And if you disagree, it's like instantly you're fucking Nazi. They just like straight to Nazi. You're a Nazi. You're fucking hell. No one likes you. Fuck off. Like, it's that kind of idea. And they treat people with different ideas so terribly. Like, they don't want to have the conversation. And I'm all about the conversation. I think that's where you find where you stand. That's how you like figure out what you think too. You got to talk about it, because yeah, I believe in that. That's something like Jordan Peterson has been sort of highlighting for people, is like, he's been out there just talking and he gets labeled all sorts of stuff and gets like like just gets whatever. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's
They're
not
just
a good
as bad
way.
as Christians, right, bro? It's like they on one hand they talk about peace. Ram Dass says, how are you peaceful if you don't have peace in your heart? So they talk about Jesus, but they don't actually do what Jesus talks about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't make any sense. So that's why it's like, from the army standpoint, because they'll label me, oh, you just went over to kill kids. Well, no, that's not. I see now, yeah, we probably went over there for oil too, but that's not why I went there.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
I didn't know that shit what I know now.
Yeah,
I used to be one of those dudes who was like, no, I know. Then I did ayahuasca and I was like, damn it. If I would have shut my mouth a lot earlier, I would have saved some embarrassment.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't get riled up anymore because they're not going to change the rules. The rules keep our foundation of our society. So even the people that disagree, don't like guns, they're not going to let them upend the fucking rules without doing it correctly.
Right.
Because now everybody can see we have the internet. It's great.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. The information
so everybody knows.
It's just there.
You just got to give them time to change. Too, like with cannabis, you got to give them time to change. Because I feel that now that I'm using it, it's like I'm so far late. Like, if I'm using it, holy shit, everybody's using it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, nobody told me earlier.
Like, you discovered it late in life.
Oh, yeah, especially because I'm like a noob. You know, I was so sheltered growing up in Utah with the Mormons.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus. Like, it never dawned on me, bro, until I was like 27 that kids got alcohol from their parents, because I never saw alcohol growing up. Not one time ever.
Right. Yeah.
So I saw my commanders had an alcohol cabinet. I was like, oh, that's where kids get it from.
Yeah. That's yeah. Man, there's a whole bunch of stuff I was gonna say. Like, well, what were you saying about Ram Dass talking about hell? What do you mean by?
Oh, he says this is hell.
Like, what is
I
hell?
look at it as like a training spot, right?
Like, life is hell?
No, like this realm. We're in hell right now. We're in hell. The place everybody says to avoid, like all the religions that were created in hell to avoid the place that we're at, it's hilarious. It's hilarious, right? Because my mom, the most thing she's most afraid of is going to hell. And I know this because she withhold love. She's an ends justify the means type person, right? So she was so afraid that I'm going to go to hell if I'm not Mormon. She withheld love.
Right.
We're just speaking like as a parent-child relationship. And it's hilarious where if she would look at this as a hell, like, you're already here,
Mm.
Oh, well, let's just
So make the
wait
most of
till-
it.
Yeah, let's make the best. Exactly, right? So that's what Ram Dass said. I've heard him say, "This is hell." I look at it. This is where you're coming to train for
Yeah.
whatever reason. If you took away the scariness of hell, because it really is scary. There's murders and all kinds of shit out there, just depending on where you are. And this is where I have to train for whatever. No one knows why we're here, but we're here.
Well, I like it. I look like even that guy Jordan Peterson. He talked about hell on earth, that there's heaven and hell available to us day to day, that we can like make choices that either send us down into the underworld and into like fucking despair and fear, or we can rise up and sort of live in, well, not exactly. I don't think you can live. I don't think anyone's in heaven here, but I do think you can get you can get sucked down though. You can live in like a hellish existence. And it seems like the way out is like taking that responsibility for your own life. And I think like thinking about like the left and right, like sort of political sides, I feel like the right call is in the middle, is like dancing between the sides. Like I think that's really where people should be aiming, is because both sides have, there's a reason there's two sides. There's a reason there's two extremes. And like life seems that way, right? You look at all sorts of different stuff, masculine, feminine, just the duality of things, that things can be split, but to have them whole is to combine them, is to be in the middle. I feel like the yin and the yang, all that. You want to have chaos and order. You can't live in either extreme. It's not good. Like on the right, it seems like the extreme on the right is like way too many laws, like walls, right? Building walls around everything. You just fucking protect, and like you protect all tradition. Someone told me recently that like all tradition claims to be conservative, right? Like all tradition is like, this is the way it is, this is the way it's always been done, so this is the way it has to be done. But then there's creativity. There's like the left side, which is like sort of like trying something new and improving what has been there, like, and trying, like changing stuff a little bit. And if you're too conservative, you're afraid of that. You don't want any of that. You just want to put walls up. This is how it is. This is how we're doing things. And it becomes too strict. But if you're too I feel like the left side, you can become kind of delusional about reality too. You can kind of get too far in your head, like we're all in a peaceful utopia and this is, blah, blah, blah. But it's not. And you got to actually say, no, we need some walls. We need some protection too. I don't know. Does that make sense? I feel like I was rambling.
Oh yeah. Then you end up at you're at a peaceful rally and all of a sudden cars are being overturned and burned and shit. You're like,
yeah.
Black mask. You're like, what the hell is that?
Things turn bad quick. Yeah.
Yeah. The women did it right. That women's march. I mean, I think protesting as a tactic is ridiculous. They learned how to conquer that in the 1960s. It's like Facebook. Everybody knows exactly what you're thinking every second. But at least the women didn't do it any violence. They're like, this is a peaceful march. There was no violence.
Yeah. When I was younger, I was definitely, I think you might have said something along these lines earlier. Like, I was like all for fucking chaos. Like, things fucking exploding and we starting fresh. I was like Rage Against the Machine, 100%. Let's make some shit happen. Like, I remember years ago, the Vancouver Canucks were they in the NHL, they played Boston, I think it was, in they went to the Stanley Cup, right? And they fucking lost, and Vancouver like rioted. Like, there was a riot in the fucking streets, like there was like cars being lit on fire and like shop windows being busted, all this type of stuff. And everyone around me was like, this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the city. It's embarrassing for Canada. And me being like the sort of angsty motherfucker that I was like, fuck yeah. I loved seeing people in the street, like just fucking taking the power back, like just wrecking shit, flipping shit over. I was like, yeah, that's like, that's what I want to see. I was like all for that. I was just like, fuck yeah, we got to change this system, man. It's bullshit, right? And then,
hell yeah.
And then as I get older a little bit, I also realize like being in the Yukon, say, I've been out in the bush where there is no civilization. There's no city. There's no one to protect you. and you're out there with a fucking campfire, trying to make a fire in the snow, trying to like, and I realized the benefit of the culture too. Like, it's not all bad. Like, we want some protection. We want to go to a restaurant, order food. We want the police to come when someone's breaking into our house. Like, we don't want to just burn it all to the ground. That's not a good idea. No one wants that.
Yeah, no one knows anything, right?
Yeah. But man, looking back, I was really like, my mindset was like that as a young person, for sure. I was like, fuck
hell
this.
yeah, I was that way, dude. That's why I went to war, bro.
Yeah. I think I would have liked being in the army too. I would have liked just being a badass motherfucker for sure.
'Cause it's black and white. It's you do these steps and you look a certain way, and then that's it. You're gonna be golden. And then it's easy.
Yeah.
They leave you alone. Yeah, it was the easiest job ever.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about marijuana before we wrap up. Because I do, like, just personally, I want to ask you, like, you've been using marijuana, and would you say it's like connected to with the aftermath of coming back and like the PTSD symptom stuff, and like, why do you use marijuana?
Yes, bro. It's like, I look at it like this, right? Because I can put my burden on cannabis for a few hours, and then it hands it back to me, and it's lessened, right? Whereas alcohol, you hand it your burden, you're gonna get wham, right?
Gets heavier.
That's what I do. Because the anger, if you look at it this way, like PTSD, I look at PTSD like anger waves, right? So it's coming. It's out there in the distance. So when it comes, the cannabis makes it so it doesn't just wipe everything out. And with kids, it's money. If you don't use cannabis and you have kids, you're crazy. But just on PTSD, it's like takes away the nightmares. I haven't dreamed in
like takes
years,
away
probably.
all dreams or just the nightmares?
Oh yeah, all dreams. I don't dream at all, bro.
Yeah.
I want no more dreams. I've had probably like in 3 years, maybe like 40 nightmares. It's probably less than 50. I don't keep track anymore because it's just
that seems like a lot to me.
Hell, bro, they've been every day from like the age 12 on up, every day.
Damn.
So less than 50 in 3 years, that's nothing.
Well, I know like marijuana for sure is connected to dreams. Like I know that for sure. Like, I know in the past when I was smoking like very heavily, like when I would stop, all of a sudden these just dreams would just be like ramping up. I'd have like super vivid, super intense dreams. But lately, and I mean it's different, but I just know that it's connected to dreams. I don't really know the relationship, but lately I've been actually smoking a lot of pot myself just recently. I don't know what it is I could try to get. I mean, just this time of year, I feel like pot's a good fit up here. Like, it's, through February when it's like cold as fuck. You're kind of done with winter, man. It's been winter for so long. It's still super cold, but you're just like ready for spring and you don't want to do anything. You just want to be inside or whatever. Pot it just feels good. And lately I've been doing a lot of shit with pot too. Like, I don't just smoke pot and like do nothing. I smoke pot and I love working out on pot. I feel like it's a great fit, like whether it's stretching or like endurance stuff or hitting the punching bag or whatever. I really like that. And I also just like, sometimes if I'm feeling lazy and I smoke pot, pot gives me like that little anxiety feeling where it's like, I need to go do something. Like, I got to get some shit done. Like, let's go, let's clean the house. Let's do the dishes, put on some music. Like, I actually use it, it's helpful for lots of different things. I like it.
Nice, bro. I go to Disneyland, bro, so I use fucking shitloads of it, dude. Shit.
I can't even imagine. That'd be pretty
fun. I want a device where I can just hit to the fucking moon and just go boop, and then you're just like to the fucking moon, and then I push the stroller. Let's go. That's it.
So, you were talking about edibles before do you eat more pot than you smoke or what?
It depends on where I'm at. Like when I'm at Disneyland, it's straight up edibles. Like,
yeah,
you got to use because you just don't have time. Because my wife wants to be there all day, so it's like those gummy bears. So just get like 6,000 milligrams through the day, and then by the end of the day, you feel like you want to quit, and it's fucking great, dude.
Jesus, that's a lot. Damn, but you build the tolerance pretty quick to edibles.
Yeah. But yeah. So I don't really do that as much though. I like to vape.
Yeah.
What is it? I can't think of it right now.
I've got a little
Or the
vaporizer too.
dabbing. That's what it is. I hope it doesn't give me cancer. Dabbing.
Dabbing. Okay, yeah.
That's where it's at. Because that's the most economical like thing to do. Like for the bang for your buck.
Yeah.
You get like a mini nail, and then you can run it through your glass piece. And dabbing's the way to go.
And you get you get more high for less.
Yeah. Then you can use it. And then there's no smell. There's no odor. That's the number one thing.
Yeah. Okay, so for someone listening, maybe if someone's on the fence about marijuana or something, you saying like, hey, yeah, I smoke marijuana because it makes my dreams go away. Like, that sounds like sort of like an escapism type of thing. Like, is that actually like long-term, like helping or beneficial?
Hell yes, bro. I care about one thing in life: sleep. That's it. If you have sleep, I just want to sleep. No more night. If you have PTSD, you clearly don't. If anybody who's like, holy shit, that motherfucker doesn't have any dreams, they're gonna be like, what is he doing? I eat a piece of chocolate or whatever, get zoned out, and then you sleep. No nightmares. It's great. Right.
So just for that alone, being able to sleep, it's like definitely a medicinal fucking thing. Like that's
Hell
huge.
Yes.
That's huge for you. Yeah.
And because then when I wake up and I want to go, right? It's not as bad anymore.
So what about like just like if you're like you say like whatever, like smoke pot and hanging out with kids is great or something. Like what kind of a state? Like, are you high right now?
Oh yeah. To the moon, baby. But I do all kinds of shit, right? I work my ass. I work out twice a day. I'm jacked as fuck. I do lots of my main music I listen to is Krishna Das. I like chanting, right?
Oh yeah.
So I'm deep into Ram Dass, and my parenting principle is I do the least amount possible. Like I feel the basics, right? Like I give him food, except I don't care what he eats. He's not eating candy, right? Because I buy the food.
Right.
So why was there candy?
Yeah.
So if he eats bean and cheese burritos, but I know exactly what's in him because I know when he's 15, he figures out chicks, he's going to want to drink protein shakes. So I'm just going to wait for him, just like my wife, right? My wife for 4 years has not wanted to work out and earn her Disney cruises, but now she is. So here I am. And I didn't change. I'm still doing the same thing I did 4 years ago.
Right. No, I've heard that said too. I think, I don't want to bring up this fucking guy every time, but Jordan Peterson, he's just like the guy in my head lately. I hear all his words, but he was talking about like raising kids, and that's what you want to do is like do as little as possible for them. Like let them figure shit out as much as possible because that's better for them long term too.
Hell yeah, Ram Dass had it. I got it from him. He said, when one does nothing, nothing's undone. And I was like, what? That like broke my brain for a few days.
What does that mean though? Nothing. What does it mean by nothing's undone? I don't get it.
Exactly. I don't know.
When one does
nothing, nothing's undone. Meaning that I don't know, but it's already happened. So don't murder anybody. If somebody makes you angry, they've made you angry a million times before. Stop murdering them.
I see now. Yeah, I see now. But so my impression is like you're talking about using weed basically to like calm you down. So that leads me to believe that maybe before weed, you were a pretty intense dude.
Oh, it's crazy, dude. I was intense as fuck. Are you crazy? You should interview my wife. That's because I think I'm just me, but yeah, I was pretty intense. Like if you tried to tell me to go to if you wanted to go eat pizza and it wasn't time to eat pizza, like I'm not cheating on my diet, I would have just snapped. Yeah. You should interview my wife. That's the person to interview.
Right. To find out, like what you were really like before.
Black and white. Imagine the most intense black-white standard ever. We actually did a test in recruiting school for the Army. They should have done this as a lieutenant, realized, oh, you're crazy. You need some help. But it was a personality test, and I scored in the 99th percentile for control.
No way.
They're like, this may be a red flag for you. And I'm like, well, and then no training. You know what I'm saying? They're like, you maybe want to, what do you want me to do about it?
So maybe, right. So that's funny, actually. It's a good insight.
So they put me in a job with no control. Like my soldiers, sort of, my recruiters were in high schools, unsupervised. One ended up sleeping with a bunch of high school kids, right?
Shit.
And so it's like, but I couldn't control them because they're 6 hours away. So how am I going to put supervision on someone 6 hours away?
Right.
And I got another person 4 hours and 3 hours. So it was a terrible fit job-wise. They should have made me like in charge of drill sergeants. but the Army doesn't really think like that.
So you were super controlling. Do you think if you retook the test, now you'd score way different, or at least a little different?
Oh yeah, way different. That was pre ayahuasca, pre all the meditating. I went to a love retreat. You know who Aubrey Marcus is, right?
Yeah.
He had a love retreat last year. I went to it. I was one of the original dudes. It was crazy, bro.
He put on oh yeah, I think I heard about that. I think I did hear about that.
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah. He just told you the secrets. He's like, listen, if nobody wanted to come to this, if I would have put business on it, I could have sold 10,000 tickets. But because I put love, nobody wanted it. And I'm going to tell you the secrets. And he told us the secrets. I was like, right. And then afterwards I'm watching all the people that also came. Right after that, I got up on stage. I've been on stage at the Comedy Store. Like now I'm doing comedy. But all these other people who were there, they all got to love like the Feelings Class Bounce. And they're all doing their awesome stuff too. It's crazy.
That's fun. So what?
He told us the secrets.
You're like, what are these secrets? You got to share these things.
I don't even. He just said, dude, on the level, he's the coolest motherfucker I've ever been around. Like I became cool just being around him. It was like I've been around like pro athletes. My uncle was coaching the. No, nothing like this. I was like, gee, like bro, I was sitting there. And I'm pretty like attuned to what's going around. And I felt this wave of I want to do you, like I want to have sex with you, come through me. Every chick in the room. I've never been like. Usually I've been in places where there's pro athletes, okay, but like a couple of the chicks realize they're not going to get with that pro athlete, so they think I'm attractive for all the wrong reasons, right? Yeah. For what? Right? I'm not saying anything happened, but no, 100% was geared towards him, and I was just like, damn, and you just feel
got it going on.
I was like, what the fuck? It was crazy, bro.
That's funny. Yeah, he seems like he's got, I mean, I think maybe I must follow him on something, maybe Instagram or something, but he seems like he must be doing all the right things because he's got a lot of good shit going on. I don't know, like in all sorts of areas, business and otherwise. He's having a lot of fun. He's doing cool shit. He's out there smiling and just enjoying stuff.
Dude, the line to be him in heaven or wherever is 1 billion people long. Like if you're a 12-year-old dude, you want to be him. Like I don't want to be him because I've done psychedelics once and that was enough.
Right. He's a little further in that. Yeah.
Oh, dude, but he's got it. Whatever that it felt, I was like, Jesus Christ. I was just sitting there going, gee, but he doesn't give a fuck. Like there's no judgment coming from you. He doesn't care. He's so secure in himself that he doesn't need you to be anybody. It was crazy.
So what are the kind of things he's talking about as far like a love retreat? Like what, just teaching people to be, how to be more loving to each other and just what? Sort
of. We did we did breath work. Dude, we did this shit called a static dance. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Oh my God. I'm a regular dude like you, bro. Does it like the last place I want to be is a room full of like supermodels being super vulnerable, just dancing around. You know, that's the last place I want to be. And his girlfriend, his fiance, Miss Jits. Holy shit. Like my wife's hot as shit. I've been around hot chicks. There's levels, bro. That level was like, and I had to dance around her. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I did not want to do it.
Yeah, like, dancing's a funny thing for sure. Dancing, oh man, definitely these days. Like I used to, like back, you know, when I was a little bit younger, once in a while we'd go to the bar. I'd dance every so often. I feel like when I was in practice, I was like, oh yeah, I can go dance. Now that I like never dance, it's fucking intimidating, man. To try to go just dance.
Never dance, bro. You want to slow dance like in high school? Okay, whatever. You want me to jiggy with it?
So what's the static dance? What's that?
It's static dance. That's what it is. It's like it's like a type of meditation where you just let it all go. Like I was expected to just let it all go in front of these keep in mind, they don't give a fuck who I am. This is all me, right?
Yeah,
but just that was the most intimidating. I graduated Ranger School. That was nothing.
That's
Ranger
funny.
School was nothing compared to dancing in front of Miss Jits, dude.
Hey, did you hear that? Did you hear that podcast with David Goggins on Rogan, or have you heard of David Goggins?
Yes. Oh yeah. I've seen some clips of that. Yeah. The Navy SEAL guy.
Yeah. That dude, and he pushes himself so far physically, like just to insane, like things I wouldn't have even thought were possible. He's been able to do these things and push himself so far in that direction, just like if anyone hasn't heard of him, like just super hardcore endurance races where he's running like 100 miles in 24 hours and things without training, like just doing it. like fucking like on just a track, like just running laps around a track for like 24 hours, like until his legs were bleeding and his fucking shit was broken and like he's pissing blood and he's still doing it. Like and all sorts of, like he has like the record for most chin-ups in 24 hours or something. Anyway, one thing, like listening to that guy, it's cool that he pushed himself so far so that like people can learn through him what's physically possible. But on the same, I also look at him and think, man, like this guy probably could use with some fucking static dancing in his life, or like, you know, like maybe just fucking like have some other areas where he's pushing himself through fear. Like he's pushing through fear and physical pain to like a crazy extent, but he doesn't sound like the most balanced fucking individual either. You know what I mean? Like there are other ways to test
like
yourself,
him, bro. And you know who Tim Kennedy is, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So those dudes, I'm nothing like those dudes.
Like that hardcore. Yeah.
No, I'm a nerd. I knew I was gonna have to join the military and I better not quit. So whatever happened, happened. So I'm not like them, bro.
Yeah. Although
I only work out because I want abs. So when I take my shirt off for my wife, she's like, yeah.
Yeah. But that, I mean, it sounds like you're working on becoming a more balanced dude too, though. Like, like checking off these other areas in your life too, spiritually, emotionally, you know, pursuing that.
Yeah, because I tried to be one like those dudes. Like it just didn't work out because that wasn't me. And it broke me. I was like, I got to get the fuck out of this place.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, 90% of the military is bullshit. Like war as a tactic it works in the short term, but not long term. But 90% of the military is bullshit. It's bullshit.
What do you mean?
It's like I got in trouble. So not in like trouble, like official trouble. Like I would get lectured a lot. Like what? Like technically you didn't do anything wrong, but you know what I'm saying? I got that shit a lot. So like when I was at war, I went ready to kill motherfucker, like Grand Theft Auto, let's get this.
Yeah.
And then we had there was 5 escalation of force incidences. Technically there was 7, right? And my company or my platoon was responsible for 4 of them. But it's like I didn't tell these motherfuckers to shoot, you know what I'm saying? They're shooting because they read the rules and I never felt threatened one time at war. It was ridiculous.
Because like you're like in their heads or your heads, it's like we're at fucking war. So we should be acting like we're at war, but it's so political and things are like, it's not really, it's like you're at war, but you're not at war. Like it's like this weird.
Trained, you trust me not to be a murderer. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a professional soldier, not a murderer.
Yeah.
You should have seen the look in my soldiers' eyes when I said, we're not killing any kids. Like a third of them, I lost a third of them. Like we're going to shoot anything that moves. And then a third of them were like, thank God. And a third of them, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because these guys didn't want to go to jail. They're not murderers like me. You know what I'm saying? Even if a kid was shooting at me, I wouldn't shoot at him because I don't want to see that dude.
Right.
So, yeah. It's 90% of the military is bullshit. It's made by dudes making decisions out of fear. That's what it is.
Oh,
they're making bad decisions because they're scared. I went to war. I was not scared. I was 100% expecting to die. I went to die, right? I went to die. No one shoots at me. It's ridiculous. So when I made no decisions out of fear, that's why I complained a lot at war. I got moved around eventually.
That's funny. So when you're saying like war is bullshit, you're talking about like individuals.
Like it's not going to win.
But also like the political side, like.
Yeah, it won't win. Like, because let's say you're a bad guy, right?
Yeah.
And you've murdered 15 people, which is what you would be over there. And we would go and we kill you. You're gonna have kids that aren't gonna give a fuck about. Hey, your dad killed and beheaded 15 innocent people, bro.
Oh yeah.
That's why he's not gonna be down with that. So we just created a new enemy.
Right.
So I'm down with Team Ramdas. I'm not telling people not to go to war because in the short term, it's phenomenal. And sometimes you might need that. I'm just saying as a long-term strategy, eventually, we just have to let people like kill us and then not react to them, or else we're just going to keep the cycle going forever.
What do you mean let people kill us?
Like let's see 9/11, right? So, or take Parkland, Florida. People get shot. Step 1 of grieving is not blame. You have to grieve. Grieve. Then let's figure
Right.
out what's happened, because I want to see the video of these cops taking up defensive position behind cars, and then they're going to retire because they're not going to run in. Are you fucking crazy? I trained my whole life. I want to be the dude that runs in. Who
Right.
doesn't want to be that dude? That doesn't even come into my head. Like, what are you doing there? I remember when we went to war with dudes without kids, right? Or with kids. I'm like, what are you doing here? If you have kids, you're going to die.
Right.
But like, let's figure out what's happened. Let's grieve, and then let's figure out real solutions that don't benefit anybody except the problem.
Because you think like reacting like super strongly, like whatever, like to any of these attacks, you're feeding then into it. Like you're giving them the power that they want by retaliating or just escalating this war
Exactly. So
or whatever.
Whether we want to be at war with the Muslims or not, there's crazy people, Muslims over there. They're the Alex Joneses saying the Americans are coming to kill us, and then all of a sudden, here we are to kill them. 10 years later, nobody knows why we're there, right? Oh, it was 9/11. Well, 3,000 people died. Well, now a shitload more died over here, and now we lost sight of the objective, which was justice or punishment, whatever it was. We lost it.
Yeah, right. It's like we're all here in this together, like as people on this planet. Like we're all here together, and for the most part, individuals are just like other individuals. It's like these crazy Alex Jones people in every culture just spewing like the crazy, like the fucking exaggerated, crazy idea of what's going on. That's who we're like. If we're focusing on those people, yeah, we're gonna end up doing crazy shit. But if we focus on like our commonalities together and focus on that and make that the binding thing, yeah, like even if you look at like how to get over arguments like with individuals, just in my own life, like with the girlfriend or whoever else, coworkers or anything, it's like what the first step to getting over it is just forgiveness off the bat. Like just like, yeah, it's cool, it's okay. Like right away, it's like, hey, I don't hate you, but maybe we can just talk about that decision you made because I think it was bullshit. But I also think you're a cool person. It's all good. We're gonna still be friends after this. Like that's kind of the way you get over shit. I find, because otherwise you just hold on to anger. It's not, long term just doesn't work. I'm sure Ram Dass probably, like what you're saying is that seems like what you're saying.
That's where I get it from. Because there's only one standard for forgiveness and getting over. Like you could take any situation, Palestinians or the Israelis and Palestinians. That's never going to end because Israel has all the power. So that's never going to end until the Palestinians, which are whatever you want to call it, get over it. They're going to have to forgive the Israelis and move on. That's it. Otherwise, they're going to be at that forever. Yeah. Because then eventually they'll get the power. And they'll start using against the Israelis, and then it'll start.
And then it's revenge. It's like, oh, now we got the power. Now you're gonna pay. Motherfuckers. And then it's just the cycle. Yeah. Seems to be it.
You could go to slavery. I mean, the idea that my kid's gonna pay LeBron James' kids money for something that happened 150 years ago to people that no one are alive is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Like,
not responsible.
That's the way forward. Yeah, I know. That comes up a lot. Like I've thought about this here too. Like in where I live on like Western Canada. We don't like you're just talking about like slavery in the past and things, and like here one of the big like sort of I don't know, one of the hardest things to talk about in Canada is the relationship with the native people here, because they were like just fucked in the past, and like like just badly, man, badly. So but the way forward is it has to be forgiveness and moving forward together. And that's such a hard thing to because of the things that did happen. Like it's bad, man. If you really look into like the residential schools that native people were put into as children, like literally like beaten for like singing their culture songs or dancing in the way their culture danced or things like that, and like raped and fucking like just brutalized, like just brutal stuff where it's like obviously it's going to be hard to move on from, and like it goes through generations of people. Like even though it doesn't happen now, like the trauma in parents and things, it goes through the children and all this stuff. So but when looking at how to move past or how to move forward, it has to be a kind of like we're in this together kind of thing. It's not easy though. It's not an easy thing to do. Like And
Oh no, that's gonna be impossible, bro.
And there's like this this feeling that like they want to like bring the old culture back too, or whatever. But that's not the way either. You can't. We're in a new place now. The past is gone. Like we can. Anyway, that's definitely something. I think I'm going to be talking about that more and more on this podcast actually, because one of the things I'm doing is creating like a little studio to have more people in person, like from my community, come talk to me. So I'm excited about that. And I know that'll be because that's one of the biggest things in this community that I live in are those kind of issues. So anyway. Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's why I got out of the Army, bro, because I remember I was sitting in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and they were telling it was Native American History Month awareness.
Yeah.
The Army celebrates it. They told the Tale of Tears, which is who Andrew Jackson, he devastated the Native Americans.
Right.
And I was like, wait a minute, the Army, the organization I'm part of, did that shit. I'm like, deuces, I'm out. I couldn't believe it. I was heartbroken. But then it makes sense. I mean, I didn't do it. The Army today didn't do it. That was the Army way back then.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, hey? Like trying to take responsibility or like have other people put that responsibility on you. Like the whole white privilege thing. It's like, fuck, man. You can't like just start putting it on me that because I'm white. Like that's just doing the same thing to me that was done to you or whatever. Like we got to like fucking find a baseline here where we're all just cool with each other and we can just fucking anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody wants to hear that, bro, because it's hard to be the standard. See, I only talk about standard. I'm not telling people what to do, but standard forgiveness, there's only one way. And there's only one way that works. It's been, the Jesus is the one who came up with it. That's and so, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, are you going to argue with Jesus about forgiveness just because you don't want to or it's hard? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. You know? Well, I think we're
my
like
white privilege didn't help me, dude. My mom being crazy.
If you're gonna follow anyone, it might as well be Jesus. That's what I say.
That's right.
Or Ram Dass.
Yeah, Ram Dass, he's the man, bro.
I feel like like our Skype connection is like getting worse and worse. So maybe we should just wrap it up. It was pretty long convo anyway, man. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for talking to me about guns and everything else, spirituality.
Bro, we're connected forever. I saw you drink 2 cups of ayahuasca, bro. That was crazy.
That was crazy. That was awesome.
You're the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you go through some shit like that with somebody, I can see past your bullshit. You can see past mine because we were 100% vulnerable.
Yeah, dude.
So you're like, that's just the crazy uncle, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because if you wanted to be in charge of gun control, like you're the person that signs off who gets a gun, I'd be that. But then who's going to take it over after you? You know what I'm saying? And the problem again.
Yeah.
Same problem.
Yep. That's part of the thing, man. That's part of the thing. Yeah, for sure. Is like, it's like, maybe we can give the power to like who's there now, but who's going to be there next? Yeah, that's definitely.
And the smartest people in the world would say no. If you were like, well, let's make you that, I'd be like, no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
My wife wants me to take her to Disneyland, bro. Sorry, I don't got time.
We got to, spread the power. Spread the power.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, dude. That was fun.